Welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and friends. As I'm trying to clear my throat and sound as sexy as Mr. Otis Spencer, the voice of our show, this show was originally created by more than the 300 original quotes I had created for the contents of my books. I was always curious when I had conversations with Naheem and Christopher and some of the other folks of how one quote landed on one person based on interpretation perspectives, whether words that just lay there on the page or whether a conversation to be had. So out of that conversation created Motivational Sundays with Kevin and friends. My name is Kevin McLemore. I'm the show host. I am joined today by the dynamic duo, the beautiful couple, and today they showed up dressed alike again, Mr. Gilda and Christopher James. The voice of our show, smooth, sexy, salty sometimes, Mr. Otis Spencer. He will be delivering the quote and carrying the show throughout the day. And I'm joined by one of our featured educators over and on the East Coast, Anne Marie Maloney. Tell her two boys, happy day. Mama's on TV today. All right. And then all the way from the Caribbean. Yeah, it's amazing how everyone shows up every single week to be on this show. Even when they're on vacations, they don't miss the show. Lois. Welcome to the show. Hopefully, the internet allows you to stay with us. And then my conscience, my bodyguard, my co-host, Lynette Kinsey. I tell you, when she drops a dime, you pick up change and take that to the bank because it's a lot to get carried with you. And one of the faces of our show that we love, I mean, I'm going to tell you, she can walk in the doctor's rooms and light up every single day of the week. Miss Chris Effers, we welcome you back. And Peter's flying solo today. Wife Jessica, they normally are traveling and going everywhere, creating great experience over in the area through their spa, the Healing Oasis. I've got Christopher Chichester. And so, without any further ado, just remember this is the first show that everyone's out actually walking. You know, the key points here is kindness, compassion, love, joy, world relationships, and personal pleasures, and the power of owning your own story. This is RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. So, without that going on and listening to me ramble, Otis, what's the quote for today?
And good morning, everyone. And today's quote is happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling.
All right. And if you guys don't have your train on the track, be prepared because Larnez Kinsey brought the quote today. And let's see how this quote landed on her.
Well, first, I need to say grand rising to everyone who is here. Um, Life is not a fixed destination we reach after a long journey. Happiness is so much more than that. It's the very essence of how we journey through the winding paths of existence. When we seek happiness as a distant land to conquer, we miss the beauty of the journey itself. Instead, happiness is found in the way we navigate through life's ups and downs, twists and turns. When we approach life with curiosity, gratitude, and an open heart, happiness becomes not just a destination, but a companion on our journey. It's in the laughter shared with friends, the moments of stillness in nature, and the small victories along the way. Our true purpose in life is not to chase after pleasures or material possessions. Rather, to learn to be kind to ourselves, to live in harmony with our innermost selves. Everything else that surrounds us, the success, the relationships, the accolades are merely side effects of our efforts. So, with that being said, my fellow travelers, let us not chase after happiness as a distant dream, but rather let us cultivate it in every step we take, in every breath we breathe. For true happiness is not found at the end of the road, but in the very act of traveling it. And that's how this quote hit me.
Whoa. You know, no matter be it first or last, following Larnez on that travel. I mean, Gladys Knight says, hoo hoo, leaving on that midnight train. All right. Peter, I don't know. I'm speechless after that. You know, hold us up, Peter.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
does this
Thanks a lot,
quote
Kevin.
land on you?
Thanks a lot. All right, I could pull a Gilda and just say ditto, right? And just but I mean, it's absolutely right. I mean, what Loretta said is 100% true. But to add to that, right? What is happiness to you, right? What brings you happiness? And it's different for everybody, right? But for me, I have to go back to my creator. I have to go back to source. I have to go back to God, right? Because without God, I have no joy. Without God, I have no happiness. So wherever I am, right, I have to remain in that sense of gratitude to fulfill myself, right? To bring joy to myself so I can bring joy to others. So again, everything goes back to source energy, everything goes back to God and the gratitude that comes with. If I can express gratitude to that, regardless of my situation, right? I'm always going to be filled with that joy. And I bring up this TED talk I saw one time. And so there's a guy in TED talk and he has no arms and no legs. And he's sitting there on stage, kind of like as a stump, and he's talking. And his story was he was attacked by a shark and it ate his limbs. And he was still the happiest person you saw. And he was so grateful for that instance because it it reminded him, right, of his real true calling, right? Without that happening to him, he couldn't be on that stage inspiring others. So through that, he found his own purpose or journey and his own joy and happiness to share with others. And I sat there and said, if this guy can sit there and be happy, right, and joyful, what does anybody have to complain about? So again, that's how it hit me. Again, just remembrance of God and joy and peace and gratitude. So
Believe it or not, I actually witnessed another young man that was born without arms and legs, and happiness comes from within your soul,
mhm.
And how you travel with your happiness is how you experience what happiness when you're happy with yourself, how it lands on others. So I appreciate you sharing that because we have a tendency to hang on to things that don't want to be held. So I appreciate that. And for a man that has no arms and no legs to find happiness, for our viewers and our listeners, what is your excuse? So I'm gonna toss this all the way over to across the ocean to Jamaica, the motherland. We have Lois sitting over there on vacation that came in, and I'm going to say to our listeners, when you talk about happiness and it's a commitment to your heart. When Lois shows up every single day, I'm going to tell you. I tell people all the time, if you still got all your teeth, smile, because this woman smiles every single day. All right, Lois, how's this quote land on you?
Thank you. Thank you. So the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this quote, and I thought of, okay, so there's no instant gratification anymore. Like, okay, so something that happens spontaneously or instantly, and I'm happy, I'm overjoyed. And so that is considered some form of happiness, and it lingers on. But really, as I was listening to the first two, my first two friends, um, it struck me from birth, like babies as they're born, it brings so much happiness and joy to the parents. And they, of course, go with that throughout the kids' years, hopefully into teenagers, adulthood. But the child itself that's been born, as the child grows, the joy and happiness that illuminates from the kid is just so contagious. And they laugh. Yes, that's a way of showing that they're happy. They cuddle with you, they touch you, they make smirky faces, they make funny noises, and we're just thrilled. And that happiness sometimes evokes more happiness in us, because just to see our kids happy, just to see how they're growing and how they are just grasping onto everything, like without care, without even thinking. They're just like a nice free spirit. And so I guess maybe I'm still a child. I'm still just enjoying my happiness, and I do smile a lot. It keeps my face nice and cheery, and I want to spread happiness to everyone that I meet. Thanks, Kevin.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you for making time and space while you're on your vacation. And no truer words have been spoken when you talk about where happiness comes from. The original architect of love and happiness and peace and joy comes from a child at the purest state of form. And for some reason, we surrounded a happy person with a person in an environment that allows them to make a decision other than being happy. Quit screwing up your children. All right. Learn from them. Be happy. Dance around like in your diaper, like you just don't care. Be happy. So with that said, I thank you. You touched my heart and you reminded me to discover that child within. So, Christopher, all right, again, I know that you're having a great time with your electric vehicle, which is the reason why I'm staying with a hybrid because I need gas. So, Christopher, Otis, one more time before Christopher says this, because we have some people that just tuned in.
Absolutely.
Can you, give us that voice? I love his voice. I'm going to tell you, for those of you have not listened, listen to this voice every single day and just think, I would buy products this man's voice. Go ahead.
All righty. Happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling.
All right, Christopher, how does this quote land on you?
Well, first off, good morning. I'm sorry, grand rising to everybody. And I gotta say, maybe it's slightly twisted or perverted or just reversed for me. I've always looked at the destination, not so much as where I want to be or whether it's greener on the other side of the fence. It's just that for me, the destination has always been something that I pursued, something I wanted to get to. And as a kid, I heard about, was told about the movement out west, and even before that, the journey to the New World. That always puzzled me. But anyway, here you've got people looking for something that they don't have where they currently are, and they have projected their dreams or their hopes this new area, this new place, the New World, or the West. And as a kid, and I'm sitting there thinking, sorry, these people are sitting on a little teeny boat coming across the Atlantic Ocean, hoping to find a better place in the new world, or they're crammed into a covered wagon, leaving the East Coast, headed to the West Coast with no idea what's going to be between the East and the West. Just simply, we're going west or bust. As a kid, I wonder, how is it riding on that boat crossing the Atlantic Ocean to come somewhere you've never been before? Or how is it on that covered wagon, day in, day out, traveling forever west? And, how do you stay buoyant? How do you stay, not so much focused, but how do you keep from going crazy? And as a kid, I had a hard time visualizing that. I just couldn't see how these people did that until I got old. Somewhere along the line, a picture of an old person driving an RV was where I thought I would be. With the little hat, the little crusty beard and wrinkles and everything, barely see over the steering wheel. That's where I kind of saw old age and RVs. But once I got to that realization, I never got the hat, never got the wrinkly face, but I did on an RV, and it finally occurred to me that journey, no matter where I'm going, was one hell of a trip. The adventures, the blowing out tires, the expected gas that's not there, the traffic, all those things sort of added to the trip, the travel. But something always hit me as absolutely irreplaceable and marvelous. We would show up at a location, me, my wife, my grandson, in pitch black, there'd be somebody there to check us into our little RV stall. And, it's just nothing. It's just black, and we're just glad that we're here. Had a rough day. And in the morning, when the sun finally got to wherever he was, we recognized that we're right next to some absolutely gorgeous work of God. Either a mountain or endless plains. Just, you didn't see that coming in there. But that morning when you wake up and there it is, you see, you know what? That is the reason we did this. That is the explanation for all those bad things that happened getting here. The shut down gas stations, the flat tires, the traffic, all of that made up for the fact that when you wake up that next morning, God is showing you one more time, look what I did while you were asleep. And it sort of dawned on me that, we're going to finally get to our destination, and it's going to be okay. But my goodness, every single morning after going through what, a lot of folks can consider hell, you've got that beautiful sight of God's creation all around you. And you don't see that as you drive up. You have no idea what's out there. But until God's paintbrush comes out and paints that beautiful landscape for you, my goodness, it's worth it. It's worth the trip. So thank you, Arnez, for scaring the bejeebus out of me and having to come after you. But I can recall that one experience traveling in a motorhome, and it just made it all worthwhile.
And I will tell you, if old looks like you, I can't wait to get there. And happiness is an experience. He is by far, and look at him, 70-something years old. Played cards with Moses. You've probably seen him over there. And not a wrinkle on his face. You talk about a beautiful man. And I'm not going to go to his wife right away. I'm going to go to Anne Marie. And we'll come back to Gilda, because I know Gilda's got so much to say today. Anne Marie Maloney.
Grand rising, everyone. I'm wondering, where was this quote 30 years ago? When I was chasing happiness and I'm looking at all of these images, oh, if I get this, I will be happy. If I do this, I will be happy. And so in the striving, in the yearning, okay, I'm looking at that person over there. They seem to be happy, so let me try this. And so you try on what fits everybody else. And I'm just like, okay, this isn't working because I'm not happy. So where is, and what is happiness? Because at first I used to define it as the absence of pain, the absence of suffering. And that is not what God has in mind when we think about happiness. So it was a dream, it was an idea, it was a concept that I had to unlearn, because somewhere along the line, I was fed that information and I was taught that. What I now focus on is the second half of that quote in terms of a manner of traveling. And how do we travel? We have to pack a carry-on bag, we have to pack this and that. And so I've come to the realization that happiness comes from your soul. It is something that you already have within you. You can get up every morning and you can make a choice in terms of, I'm going to be happy today. And how do you make that choice? You hunt for the good. You look for all of the wonderful things, and you look for God to appear in those moments. And sometimes happiness is not this, the new car or the new house or some magnanimous experience. Happiness can be as Chris was just describing going outside and seeing the majesty of God in nature and seeing that wonder and that beauty. So you look for that happiness. And the other half of that, though, is what do you do when you wake up and it's just, you can't make that choice. You can't carry that with you. I believe that's why we're here, to encourage one another so that we can help others and inspire others, encourage others, so that we can meet our day with a measure of gratefulness, a measure of gratitude. So traveling with happiness, the journey is about working with God. The journey is in knowing yourself, and the journey is looking for those moments during your day. So that's how that quote hit on me. So finally, so it's not a thing I'm striving for anymore.
I
I
am
had it
so
all along.
I am so glad you recognized your gift right away. And again, you know, if this was a book, the conversations that we have every single Sunday based on these quotes, we would have a bestseller, because the based on interpretation perspectives of what we're saying, it reaches everyone at some point. You know, you may be sitting in the darkest of rooms going through some stuff and whatever, and you'll turn and you'll hear the conversation of Larnaz, and you go, that is deep. And then all of a sudden you go to World Travels and understand that old is not old, especially when your heart is young. And then when you discover the truth of where happiness comes from, you'll land on the page of where Peter and Anne Marie just said, you know, is honoring the gift that was given to you by a power that's greater than all of us. Because Larnez says all the time, we're energy, and we have to recognize that energy comes from someplace. We call it faith. And I will tell you, every time I look at the landscape of all the beautiful people that come on my show, I remember what it was like to go to the corner store, and I used to look through the wallets. I mean, remember how they used to have pictures of all these beautiful people? And I'm sitting here thinking, I said, you know, I'm looking at Chris and I'm saying, these are all those beautiful peoples in that wallet. I actually wrote a screenplay about the girl in that wallet and whatever. Wrote a whole animated story about a guy searching for that one girl. They had a picture in his wallet. And then when he finally meets her, she turns out to be his lifelong best friend. And he's madly in love with her. And she's about to marry the biggest jerk in the world. So with that said, I'm going to open up that wallet and we're going to introduce you to that girl in that picture. Chris Everett, how you doing?
Hello, Kevin and friends. It's so good to be here. And I
Wait,
gotta read that.
before you speak, I just want our listeners, Chris, put your hand back on your chin there. Oh my, I just bought 2 wallets. I ordered it. Go ahead.
I gotta read that story. Oh my goodness, it's so
How's this full
wonderful.
land on you, Chris? I missed you. We missed you.
Yeah, thank you. I miss y'all too. Don't worry, you're always in my heart every day, not just on Sundays. Um, but this quote, happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling. Sorry to read it out loud, Otis. I know that's your job.
No worries.
It helps me to like get to where I'm gonna go to, I think. The thought that's been crossing my mind as I've, been listening to folks and reflecting on it is, the pursuit of happiness keeps going through my head, and it's so, the thought is it's so elusive, this pursuit of something that isn't, you can't even really hold, right? So it pushes it to be in the journey. You know what I mean? It's just like I can't like, oh, there's happiness. Oh, there's happiness. It's not, it's not the car, it's not the house, it's not the boyfriend, it's not the girlfriend, it's not out there, right? So it's like, so wait, what is it that I'm doing? And it so much is a state of mind. It's a state of mind. It's that inward journey to, like, I don't know, there's like a friend of mine, he always says freedom is like allowing people to be on their own journey. And I think that's also happiness, right? Like if I can just like look out and watch you do your thing and see you do your thing and kind of do my thing and not put a judgment on it, that's happiness, because there's no restriction on the flow of life that's happening. So yeah, so it's not a yeah, to me it's not like a pursuit. It's definitely is just a way of flowing through the world. And God.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
just gonna end it
And
with that. And
and
God.
and if for those of us that have not connected with our faith, you have to realize that our Creator traveled, by foot, without an Uber, without a Lyft, without an airline ticket or whatever. He walked from one town to another with a conversation of bringing people together. And I think once someone receives your message, as Chris said, that's where happiness comes. When you see other people enjoying life, and you can sit back and take it in and celebrate it. That's where happiness. That's freedom. That's freedom. Freedom is without all distractions. That's freedom being in that space. So I know this is going to take 20 minutes for Gilda to go ahead and give her interpretation on this. So I'm going to ask Otis to set it up again for our listeners. Give us that quote again.
Happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling.
Gilda. All right, I'm buckled up. Go ahead, let it go.
Everyone. The quote clearly states that success isn't about final outcome. It's about feeling real value along the way. It doesn't mean that the destination is irrelevant, but the journey shapes the destination. So the path you are walking to achieve success has a greater role in satisfaction.
And she wrote that.
No.
So I was sitting back here and like that was beautiful. That was beautiful. All right. I love you, Gilda. Chris, I thank you for sharing your lovely wife with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to write that down. Get your pen and paper and write that down. That was great, Gilda. Thank you. And she said it with just as much conviction and commitment and some little stank on it the way that Arnett does it. All right. That's all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to close to the end of the show. So, interpretation from that salty, sexy voice on there, he can say, "What's in your wallet?" and you'll give him everything you have in your wallet. Our voice of our show, my friend, young King, still living the dream, doing great things over in the Boston area. Otis Spencer, deliver the quote for one more time and give us your interpretation of this quote.
Happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling. Well, for me, life itself is a journey. There are many roads to travel. You need to seek out what the best path is for you. And sometimes the happiness you find is right next door or right near to you. But be open to many different situations because you might be surprised as to what you might find.
Jordan Sweet, you'll be surprised on what you will find at the end of it's like that rainbow behind us. No matter what the color you wear or you identify with your own heart and happiness. So it doesn't make any difference how someone else paints your picture. It's how you paint your picture is what you got to live with. So, I'm the last in order to follow all these great conversations, these beautiful people. And this quote leaves me: happiness is not a state to arrive at, rather than a manner as to how you travel. This quote leaves me with questions more so than answers. I always say, have you ever been around a person that when you're in the room, no matter how bad your day is, no matter what you go through, they just seem to brighten your day? My grandfather was one of these people, and I adapted the quote that he left: "Reach one, each one." I've heard people say it different. I always thought it was an original quote, but it's original to me because that's when first time I've ever heard it. And my grandfather always taught me there's no such thing as an original. What makes something original is the person that acts on it. So I created my show on it. So to me, it's original to me. I'm a firm believer that every day that I wake up, God gives me a second chance to get it right. He allows me to take my paintbrush and create the colors of my own world as I see them at the moment that I live, because moments do actually matter. What I understand is that I have to be the inspiration to all that is about me and all that's around me. I must be the pillar of my own strength that surrounds me. I must be the centerfold to the picture that I want to be, because without me being happy, no matter how many times I've added myself to a portrait or frame or the media, whatever the case may be, if my own self-preservation is not priority, then I am not being who God meant for me to be. I have to understand that my happiness is my own happiness. I had to understand my love has to be my love for me first. I have to come to the fact that the circumstances that surrounds me, the hurdles that I have to face, the sacrifices I have to deal with during the course of a day, during the course of a life, does not make me whole. Happiness is not where you're trying to get to. Happiness is the bag you pack when you're trying to get to where you're going. If I can say that you're not happy, then I ask you to travel with someone that is, and take notes and make notes. Because happiness is just not in a journey. Happiness is an experience. Happiness is an education. And happiness relies on the students that want to share happiness with the other students that surround him or her. So this is how this travels with me. I travel in a circle of companions that love me unconditionally. I travel in a circle of companions that pour into me. They never look at my glass half full. They pour it over. I travel with a group of people that are unconditionally honest and true to their word and true to me. I travel with a group of people that point out my faults, put their hand over my mouth and tell me just to listen. All right, because they speak of the truth, because they speak the truth of their heart. So what makes me happy is that I'm happy with the gift that God has given me. And the people that are on this platform are the gifts that God has given me. So my cup is running over this morning. So when I look at this, when I travel every single day to make a difference in someone else's life, because you guys have made a difference in my life. And I appreciate that. So with that said, we have come to the end of our show. Another episode of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and friends. We probably have the only platform that you can go to our Facebook page or YouTube page on RMK Productions and Network. And you can go ahead and get the link and you can come here and be a guest. We ask that you come here and be positive, bring some love. And everyone's on camera, so we all share. This is a great platform. I appreciate everyone that has listened to us. I appreciate over the 10,000 people that listen and share. and share this show. I appreciate each person that has ever joined in as a seat as a co-host. And I can say we're an HR nightmare because I can say publicly, I love each and every last one of you. All right. And with that said, my grandfather always says, wait a minute, since Naheem's not here, Christopher, you got to fill in for him. So be prepared. All right. My grandfather always said that education is not designed to make you comfortable, it's designed to make you think. He also said, and it's the tagline to our show, is that when you get to a place in life that you can help someone else out, it is your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said,
Everybody, fade to black.
and with that said, we're out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time. Bye-bye.